Nick Fury, please come to the front of the class. Uncozy. You forgot about those people. You forgot the Skrulls because they were small in number. I'm finding out that while you and Carol were walking around being all authoritative and looking like you were handling business, there was a whole group of people that you were supposed to be trying to find a home for, and you were falling down on the job. You forgot about them. You thought they were negligible because knowing you just think whatever it is that you're focused on at the time is the most important thing, and they could wait. And now you have to see about Gravik. Are y'all rocking with Gravik? So I watched this episode with my friend Rebecca, and she said that the Skrulls' plight reminds her of, well, the Gravik's motive and, you know, his motivation and what's driving him reminds her of the Flag Smashers from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and she finds them just as sympathetic. I love that their motivation makes complete sense, just like the Flag Smashers. I don't feel for them as much as I do the Flag Smashers. Don't ask me why, but I get it. Gravik gave Nick time. He gave him decades, and he's just supposed to keep waiting. Not to mention that he's screwed because, as he recognizes and as Nick said himself, human beings can't even tolerate each other. Melanin freaks us out. Hair textures, different languages. Like, we can't even let each other or accept each other as refugees across our borders. They're gonna accept some blue people. We thought about the fact that the Asgardians now have new Asgards, but they're mostly white. They look like humans. Not to mention, they are the manifestation, realization, confirmation of a European fairy tale or whatever, myth. So, you know, they get a pass. The Skrulls, first of all, there's 1 million of them left. Only 1 million. If there are only 1 million people left who speak a language, wouldn't that make that language endangered? If there's 1 million left of a species, wouldn't that make them an endangered species? I feel like if the Skrulls come out and are like, if Gravik goes up to somebody and it's like, hey, can you give us refuge? There's going to be terms and conditions. They're probably going to get experimented on. They're probably going to get drafted into the military. You know, it's just not going to be cute for them. So I completely get why he's doing what he's doing. He's like, you guys are supposed to find us a planet. You didn't. We've been here long enough. This one looks good. We gonna take it. Also, shout out to Gravik for calling out the Skrulls who got a seat at the table and are just eating. You've got a prime minister, a leader of NATO or some kind, and what are y'all doing for your people? You got a seat at the table and you're just admiring the china, asking for seconds and thirds from the menu. Do you remember that y'all are homeless? Like, yeah. So I feel like it didn't need to come to this if those people were doing their jobs. Like, what policies, or like, you were on the inside. What have you done to move things along for your people? Nothing. Brogan, I get it. He had to go. Like, I feel like when he said he didn't say anything, like, what else was he gonna say? He didn't say anything. Gravik didn't believe him. But we're all positive that it was Gaia who called the cops and caused them to go raid their compound, right? Gaia doing that made Brogan look suspicious, and so he had to go. Like, it was sad, but he had to go. Next, Sonya Falsworth. I just want to give a quick shout out to her. Badass. That torture scene, she's no joke. I love it. But speaking of not being a joke, Gravik is not a joke right now, and I just hope that when he eventually loses, that it's done very smart. Please don't dumb him down, I feel like the only thing is for him to die, which is fine. Just make it worthwhile, because 2 episodes in and he's already like a worthy adversary. Nick and Rhodey. Back to Nick Fury. So that Nick and Rhodey scene was perfection. Nick, that line of, I'm Nick Fury, even when I'm out, I'm in. Love it. But also, Nick, all you're going off of right now is bravado, well-earned, and your reputation. That's not enough. Sir, where are your resources? Your resources was what helped you gain your reputation in the first place. You don't want to involve the Avengers, which I understand. At least call one. But I understand real-world purposes. They don't want to pay more people. I get it, but like, what's the plan? Like, I'm not hearing a plan. You're trying to rope Rhodey into it, But what is the plan? How are you going to do this? Gravik has resources, both people and things. You have neither. All you had was Maria. You have Talos, which I wish it was pronounced Talos. You have Talos, who, considering how badly you've messed up, this creature is a saint. That he can still tolerate you after you've been failing them for literal decades. And then you have the nerve to kick, like, yes, there are a million, but what was he supposed to do for real, though? Anyways, yeah, so, I mean, Nick is on one. I get Rhodey's point. Like, he's not lesser than Nick for trying to handle the political crisis that Nick has. Well, it's not his fault, but it looks like it's his fault. So that was a great scene. I don't understand why after Nick's badass line, that meant that Rhodey was no longer going to force him to go to the airport to go back to America. I don't know. And then last but not least, Nick is married. I buy it. I totally buy that he would fall in love with a Skrull and form a relationship and get married and all that stuff. Very surprising, but congratulations, Nick.